Womanjika everyone, Womanjika meaning welcome. My name is Auntie Julianne and I'm an out of the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people, and in recognition of doing my welcome to country, I'd like to pay my respects to my elders past, present, future and any elders that were here today, and I would also like to welcome you all here today. The Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung tribe consists of 3 families, the Nevins, the Terricks and the Wandans, and I'm part of the Nevin family. The 3 families all descend from one woman called Annie Barratt, which makes us one big family. Annie Barratt is the youngest sister of William Barratt, a pioneer for Aboriginal people in the 19th century, fighting for equality and land rights. I'm here today to welcome you all to the land of my ancestors. We call the land within our tribal boundaries our country. The Kulin Nation, Kulin meaning man, is made up of 5 groups. They are the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung, Boonwurrung, Tanarong, Watharong and Dja-dja-wurrung. And to give you an outline of the Wurundjeri country and the area we cover, Wurundjeri country extends from north to the Great Dividing Range, east to Mount Baw Baw, south to the Moolalic Creek and west to the Werribee River. We cover a diverse range of land from the mountains to the beach and everything in between. Many thousands of years ago, if an Aboriginal person from another tribe wanted to cross our boundary, they would have to sit at the boundary and wait for the Narragadah, which is the headman, or an elder to come past to give permission to cross. Traditional Aboriginal culture was highly territorial, and visitors risked a violent reprisal for crossing a tribal or clan boundary without this permission, and this is how a welcome to country originated in our culture. Traditionally, being welcomed onto country meant you respected Bunjil's law. Bunjil, the wedge-tailed eagle, is our creator, and Wah the crow is our protector. And as long as you looked after the country, you had access to our waterways and our land resources. And when you enter our country, we ask that you respect our resources, our fauna, flora and water, as they are very special to us. And when you are ready to leave, we ask that you leave it the way you found it.
Welcome everyone to the hearing of submission on the Flemington, Niddrie and Union Road special rates and charges on the 28th of March 2023, which are now declare open. I'd like as well to welcome members of the gallery who have joined us tonight and special presenters to Council. Welcome, as well as being live streamed on our website. Everything is filmed. Video recording isn't permitted by members of the gallery, so please be aware of that, and please be aware that your presence may be live streamed. I'd also ask that mobile phones be switched to silent during the meeting as well. On behalf of Moonee Valley City Council, I respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which Moonee Valley is located, the lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay respects to their spirits, ancestors, community members and elders past, present and emerging. We also extend this respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. This is an informal meeting to hear submissions from the community on the Flemington, Niddrie and Union Road special rates and charges, and we won't be making any decisions tonight. A total of 93 submissions were received and 13 have requested to be heard in support of their submission. However, 8 can no longer attend. In terms of item 3, apologies and leave of absence, I note Councillor Nation's apology for the hearing this evening. Councillor Sharp is also not with us currently. Declarations of conflict of interest is item 4. Councillors, are there any conflicts of interest? No? We'll now move to the part of the meeting where we hear from submitters. 5 have confirmed to speak this evening, and each will have 3 minutes to speak to their submission. Afterwards, I'll ask councillors if they'd like to seek clarification on any points. I'll invite each presenter to speak by boundary area, noting that no submitter from the Flemington boundary area were able to attend tonight. So our first 4 speakers are from the Niddrie boundary area, and I would like to first invite Hamish Jones, if he's here. Welcome, Hamish, and just reminder for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, Helen, the CEO. Most of you would know me as a former council candidate and community advocate, but I'm here tonight as a lifelong resident of Moonee Valley and a 20-year business owner in Moonee Valley. Currently running a business on Keilor Road and currently the president of the Niddrie Traders Association after serving for 3 years on the committee. The Niddrie Traders Association is an important hub for Moonee Valley. It has been for my entire life. I remember meeting with friends at Chartreuse Cafe, unfortunately no longer with us, in the 90s. It is still an important hub for Moonee Valley, especially as part of the Moonee Valley's 2040 strategy. As such, I'm here to advocate for keeping the levy because I think it's important to give traders the opportunity to keep working collaboratively together and with council to enhance the area and grow the opportunities for the community to have that place to connect. Some of the key activities that traders have been working on recently, we lobby on behalf of traders across a number of issues. We're always seeking feedback from traders and presenting that feedback to council on their behalf. We collaborate with council on a number of activities and events throughout the year, including some upcoming networking events that we'll be working with the Economic Development Unit on planning out and advocating soon. We run a number of marketing activations and activities throughout the year: Mother's Day, Father's Day, during the footy season, Easter, Christmas. These are all incredibly well received by the local community, both traders and through community feedback, which is always sought at the event from those that are attending the events. And we're recently, post-COVID, again started to provide a number of business networking and mentoring training opportunities, which obviously didn't happen for a couple of years because of COVID, but are starting to happen again. And our most recent one last month was incredibly well attended with about 25 people over the morning. I know it seems kind of funny that myself, who often comes out and advocates for lower rates and lower levies across council to be coming here and advocating for keeping one, but I think it's an incredibly well-targeted levy that is mostly well supported by the local traders. They understand, whilst they might not always be happy with the issues like parking and things like that, they understand that the Trade Association is there acting on their behalf. They do get promotion online and through social media, and businesses are increasingly taking up that opportunity, especially now. That's all I really have, so there's a spare 30 seconds for the next speaker or to answer any questions.
Thanks, Hamish, and I'll just acknowledge that Councillor Sharp has joined us. Councillor Sharp, do you have any conflicts of interest to declare that you're aware? Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for Hamish? Councillor Bedio?
Hey Hamish, thanks for the submission tonight. Is there anything off the top of your head that you could imagine that Council could do better to have a better relationship with the Traders Association to support in your endeavours?
Look, I think the collaboration has been relatively good, especially with the Economic Development Unit and the conversations backwards and forwards. There could always be more of that and more discussion around events and activations and communication. I guess the big discussion point on Keilor Road at the moment is with relation to the footpath redevelopment on one side of the road there, and that, I guess, is taking longer than some traders would have hoped for, and there could have been better discussion around that. But for the most part, I think that's more an issue internally with some of the stuff that's happening at council from the feedback that I've got, not necessarily something that the Traders Association could do. I guess just more information flow coming that way would perhaps be helpful to get that out to traders, because I think we play an important role there as one of the first points of call when it comes to disseminating out that information.
Right, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Bedio. Any other questions from Councillor Sypek?
Thanks, Hamish, for coming here and giving the presentation. But you make actually quite a good point. You're usually here as the usual suspect, lobbying to reduce rates and not to increase rates, and try and have a zero freeze. I'm just curious, what percentage of the traders are for keeping the rate, and what percentage not for it?
I don't know the number of the submissions that were submitted from traders. That information hasn't been provided back to the Traders Association. I do know that there is an increasing number of traders that are taking advantage of the opportunities that are provided to them by the Traders Association and through that own levy to get their own marketing out of it. Things like I mentioned, social media, website promotion. So traders are increasingly engaging with the Traders Association. As I said, we had a well-attended networking event last month as well. So I would hazard to say that an increasing majority of traders understand that they are getting more value out of the money that is being spent out of the levy than what they're actually spending. Okay. But I couldn't give you an exact number there because, like I said, I don't know how many submissions are back.
Idea or feeling, 60%, 50%?
I can't answer that question. We haven't surveyed them to discuss that. That obviously was put out from council because council charges the levy, so I couldn't give you an answer to that question.
Okay. Thanks, Hamish. Any others, Councillor Sypek? Any other questions for Mr Jones?
Mayor, as a point of clarification, is the data that we've received as councillors, is that confidential? I just can't.
CEO or governance?
Unless that's private information you cannot disclose, I think all the submissions should be public. Yes, that's fine.
Sorry?
Like a name, contact number, private information.
But with
the content of submissions, I believe governance is saying is public.
It's public.
which bit is... Sorry, I just want to make sure I don't say anything. If I can just clarify, I just want to make sure I've got exactly which bit we're looking at. Is this bit public?
So the submission is published on council website with some information redacted. So you can use this version.
So perhaps, Councillor Byrne, if you wanted to have a look at the public website, which I know you often
Apologies,
do.
Hamish. I just want to make sure I don't say everything that I'm
Understandable.
not allowed to say. Did you have a question? You can go first.
Yep. Councillor Hodgson.
Thanks, Hamish. I just, some of the submissions from the Niddrie area did indicate that more, and we hear this a lot, that the professional services feel like they don't get a great benefit from the special rates charge. Is that something that the Traders Association have turned their mind to in terms of how to provide a benefit for businesses in the Traders Association that don't have, kind of a retail shop front?
Absolutely, and as someone that runs a business in the professional services field, obviously I am mindful of that from a personal perspective as well, and that is why we've started doing more things like the networking events, training courses and other things as well to provide that benefit to professional services. All businesses, whether they're retail, hospitality or professional services, are offered the same opportunity to have their business marketed through a number of the platforms as well. So, look, we're always open for feedback as well. Like, my number's published everywhere. It's easy enough to get in touch with the Traders Association, and we always welcome ideas and opportunities there as well.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Hodgson. Councillor Byrne, have you got the information in front of you that you need?
Thanks. Oh, yes, thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Hamish, for the presentation. You're definitely a very active president of the Niddrie Traders Association. We've obviously been in touch recently, whether it's been to do with umbrellas or footpaths or whatnot. So I do appreciate what the Traders Association does. Found on the public website, so it is you can get access to this. It would probably be worth having a look. Of the 28 responses, 86%, this is just in Niddrie, 86% indicated that they do not support the renewal of the Niddrie Business District special rate, which does seem to me to be a bit high. Can you put your finger on why there might be a bit of a disconnect between the Traders Association and some of the traders?
I can understand why there would be a number of businesses that want to reduce their costs in the current economic climate, but I'd also point out that that's less than 10% of the businesses that are in Niddrie that have made a response, and the significant majority haven't made a response at all, but many of them are still taking advantage of the opportunities that are afforded to them as the Traders Association. So I would suggest that those that are utilising the services that are available to them see value in there, and that would be a significantly higher number of businesses in that strip and precinct than have made a submission not supporting the continuation of the levy.
Yeah. Thanks, Hamish.
Thanks, Councillor Byrne. Any other questions? No? Thanks very much, Hamish.
Thank you. I do have to head off to another meeting, but if anyone else has any questions after the meeting, obviously you know where to find me. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we've got Eva Tartaglia. Do we have Eva in the gallery? No. Next, I call on Taylor Keogh. We have Taylor. If not, the final speaker from Niddrie is Diego Lupino on behalf of himself and Domenica Munari. Welcome, Diego.
Hello. Good evening to everybody.
Thank you, Diego, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Diego Lupino. I'm the owner of 326, 328I, Killer Road, 330, 332, and 332I. I pay more rights than anybody. I pay more money than anybody. I never get any benefit from Niddrie. They cost me $12,000 here. Most of this money I pay myself because some of the tenant is week by week. Some got a lease, some never got a lease. And most of the money I pay myself. And all I can see, Niddrie, they do benefit for himself. They never do for the street. Whoever is there in Niddrie should be the landlord, not the try. Because the try, he only looks on the backyard, he's on the shop. He never look to bring people on the street. The try should bring people in the street. Then who was the smart? He carry. That's the way it should be. Need to try, don't do nothing. They put the umbrella outside, all right? Nobody tell me, nobody, he put everywhere in his shop, 328 high, 330, no umbrella. Have a look at the what is. Nando got umbrella, La Pochetta got umbrella, on the middle no umbrella. I called the mayor, I saw him in front of Biagio, and I say, what's wrong there? He said, we ran out of money. Leave it to me, I get it back to you. Nobody get it back to me, all right? My daughter giving me a mile, he said, we get it back to you. No one in the council, nobody get it back to us. They only send the bill to pay the money. And I never see any benefit. When it's Christmas time, need to try to do the party. He do his own shop. They send him an invitation because that's my money. Invite me with my money. I don't think it's fair to do that. Need to try is nothing for the street. Should be the owner, the landlord should be in the try there.
Thank you, Diego.
Thank you.
And can I clarify, you made a comment of you ran into the mayor on Keele
Yes,
Road.
there was the young lady.
Councillor Byrne. Yep.
He was in front of Biagio, and I said, can you see if you can put an umbrella there? Because I asked that Tri Association, say, why not put a notification to me? And he said, oh, we did it to the tenant. I said, I'm the owner. I invest money in Keele Road. I got more money than anybody in Keele Road, and nobody telling me anything.
All right. Thank you, Diego. I might just throw to questions from councillors. Does Councillor Sypek?
Mr. Lupino, how long have you been a landlord in Keele Road or in the Niddrie?
1978, I bought La Pochetta. What is La Pochetta? Was the bank. Okay. I bought it from the bank. I built. Then I bought it 326. There was a Spotlights. I rebuilt it. I did one of the best building in Keele Road. Then I bought it 328 high, 330 and 332.
That's the one on the corner of Treadmill and Keele Road.
All I missed the one.
So,
the
Mr. Lupino, I
I
wanted to ask you, since 1979, the Traders Association, what do you think's been their best accomplishments for what they've done for
He
landlords?
done nothing for the street. I never see to do something good for the street.
And have you had much communication since 1979 with them?
Well, I got a couple of times in the meeting, but I can see everyone, he look his own backyard. They only look for his own shop, not for the street. Whoever is there, I got a lot of shops. If I got a restaurant, I never put inside my restaurant next door because I don't want to kill the other. That the people, they don't care. Long as they make money, they do anything. That's what I see.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Sypek. Any other questions from councillors for Diego? Councillor Byrne?
Thank you, Mayor. And Diego, look, I'm happy to follow up with you in regards to the umbrellas, because I do remember, as I said, I'm down on Keele Road regularly, and I remember the day that they were lifted, and you happened to be down there as well, and we spoke about the particular sites that didn't have them. And I agree that it would look great if we had the whole stretch. And there obviously was the issue of asking the tenants as opposed to the landlord, and at the time the tenant didn't say yes, and that was definitely something that was fed back to officers at the time. I'm trying to scroll through to find the official response that we all received. There is a chance that the program, so the program was fully subscribed at the time. That's not to say that the program won't be extended at a future time, which is something as ward councillors we definitely need to look into. Obviously the umbrella project was something that came through some state government funding. On the other side of the road where they're ripping that up is a different project again. That's not to say that we won't go back to extending the umbrella project. We definitely haven't forgotten about it, and I know that there's been signs with
Thank you. I'll leave it to the councillor. You know what I do. I just say what's need to try done. You're not even telling me. If it was telling me, I say I don't care. I have to put money out. I want the umbrella there. Then ask the tenant, is there week by week? Because one got a heart attack, the Japanese one. He said, can you leave me week by week? What do I leave the shop empty?
Yeah.
I said, stay week by week. They don't pay, there I go. I got to pay everything.
No, and I know that the street definitely appreciates the businesses staying open and you being a flexible landlord in that situation. And yes, as I said, I did follow it up to find out where the in future rounds how that can be assessed.
Thank you, Councillor Byrne. Are there any other questions for Mr. Lupino? If not, thank you, Diego. Thank you for coming in tonight. I now call on our final speaker, Darcy Brennan from the Union Road boundary area.
Your Worship, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of the M3 Medical Centre, Ascot Vale Pharmacy and the Ascot Vale Health Group. These properties are situated at 63 to 73 Union Road, Ascot Vale, which is at the southern end of the street, opposite Dunlop Avenue, between Myrams and Getty Street. We object, and our objections are based on the special rate has existed for 10 years. During this period, no money at all has been spent in this particular area. Being a medical precinct, there is no value derived by the respective tenants from the charges made. The special charge does not include all businesses in Union Road, and I refer here specifically to Chemist Warehouse at number 2 Union Road. Inappropriate application of criteria to property, which are essential health services. Accountability. No follow-up of the funds collected, how used and what advantage were directed to the properties beyond Myram Street. We almost need an audit of what you do. Failure to acknowledge or reward those properties which have provided on-street parking, off-street parking I should say. We have supplied approximately 40 car place spaces over the 3 properties. The Ascot Vale Traders Association decides, promotes, marketing, and have always targeted the businesses between Maribyrnong Road and Rosebery Street. For instance, our properties do not even have a flagpole to hang Christmas decorations which aren't even seen. On requesting from the Council an explanation as to why the Ascot Vale Business District ceases at Getty Street, we've never been extended the courtesy of a reply. As the special rate and charge is deemed to be used for the following activities, such as promotional activities during the Christmas period and shop local initiatives, each of which are irrelevant to these properties and these properties have never been included in these activities. Advertising to attract visitors to the business area, not done in the specified area. Representation and advocacy for the trading area here, not done. We feel as though we're being subject to an unjust and inequitable charge. Here I must draw your attention to the financial institutions which were by Commissioner Haynes castigated and then fined by the Banking Royal Commission for activities such as fees for no services. Hence, as a result of the failure of the Ascot Vale Traders Association...
Sorry, Darcy. Sorry, the time's run out, but because obviously we've had a few speakers not come in, do you think a minute more?
Okay, I'm just finishing off now.
Thank you.
As a result of the failure of the Ascot Vale Traders Association to spend funds as required in this area and the irrelevance of any such spends, we respectfully request that the following properties, 63 to 65 Union Road, 67 to 69 Union Road and 71 to 73 Union Road, each be granted an exemption from this special rate and charge. Thanks very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan, and we'll take some of what you've said on board as well. But councillors, do we have any
I have copies here.
We can distribute that after. Thank you.
like them.
Maybe if you could give it to one of our officers. But councillors, do we have any questions? Mr. Darcy?
Thanks, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you.
Are you just advocating just for those shops that you mentioned, or do you think to scrap it right through?
No, I don't think you should scrap it right through. I think it's a great advantage to the traders. However, I think if you're going to do something, first of all, you must ensure that the money is spent equitably, and you must also ensure that there's audits, and so that you know where the money is being spent and what it's being spent on. You can't give money to people and just allow them to put it in a small section and everyone else can go to hell. You can't do it. It's not fair.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. Any other questions for Mr. Brennan?
Thank you.
Councillor Bedio? Sorry, Darcy, one more question from Councillor Bedio.
Sorry, Darcy. Thank you for your feedback today. I particularly am interested in the concept of the audits and having oversight over equitable distribution. How would equitable distribution look for you, noting you run a service-based, or you have the properties that you mentioned are service-based? How would equitable distribution look for those sort of properties?
Well, personally, I think that really there should be exempted. Whilst the last charges were on, there was 2 other businesses operating beyond Getty Street, and you cut it off, and yet on the other side of the road there was a business, and then there was another business where the old pie factory used to be, and then there was the formerly Macintosh's garage on the corner, which is now a chemist, and also the trophy shop. Basically, it's a long street. I think if you're going to charge people, it would be more equitable to charge those who benefit rather than those who don't benefit, who can't benefit. So basically, I'm of the opinion that really you stop at Rosebery Street rather than Geddes.
Right, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Bedio. Any other questions from councillors? No. We have a trader who has joined us but not on the agenda. I'll just check with councillors because obviously we've had a few no-shows tonight, whether everyone's comfortable with Ms Abby Shepherd speaking to us. Yep. Abby, would you like to join us?
Thank you very much for having me. Look, I just feel like the special rate levy, the Union Road traders are pretty much null and void in Union Road. A lot of promotions, I know Muller's from the same lot of street where I'm from, they don't come past Rosebery Street. So we're finding that some of the stuff they've spent the money on, and you can clarify me, like the Union Square hasn't been used very much, it's just been a wasted space. And also, like their promotions they've had haven't really sort of benefited the street. So they're not putting the money into the right areas, such as beautification of the street, putting some lights in the street. I actually live in Ascot Vale myself, and I run my business from Ascot Vale. So if you come down Union Road over night time, it looks so dead. There's no lights in the trees, there's nothing to get anyone down there to start off with. So I find the money could be spent better in other areas, but they're spending it on promotions that really don't really benefit the street as much. I've had to promote my business a lot more during COVID by myself, so I know a lot of traders actually spend a lot of money promoting their businesses separately to the Union Road traders, but we just find that we just don't get that support from the Union Road traders as what we once did, which was years ago. So,
thank you. Thank you, Ms Shepherd. Are there any questions for Abby? Councillor Byrne?
Thanks for that. Sorry, can I ask if you're not a part of the Union Road traders? Do you attend the meeting?
I actually can't go because I've got something on, and every time we get notification of it, there's an email sent out on the day.
Right.
So it's...
Do they provide any other option to provide feedback?
Not really.
Okay.
No. Yeah. So I've had my business down there for 18 years. So I've seen a lot of traders. My dad was on the Traders Association at one point where they closed the street off and they had the festival, and that created a lot of bars. There's no life down there at the moment. There's nothing to inject the life into Union Road, and I think a lot of the traders feel the same way. Yeah.
Thank you. Any others from councillors? No? Thanks for joining us, Abby.
Thank you for having me.
So that concludes the hearing of submissions, the public hearing of submissions on the Flemington, Niddrie and Union Road special rates and charges. Thank you to all the submitters and everyone for joining us this evening. We'll consider all the submissions as part of the final report deliberations, and a formal response will be provided to everyone who put in a submission. So thank you very much for joining us on the live stream, and good night. Welcome everyone to the Council meeting on the 28th of March 2023, which I now declare open. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to members of the public in the gallery this evening, as well as those watching from home on the internet. As well as being live streamed, the video recording of this meeting will also be made available on our website, so attendees in the gallery are advised that their presence may be recorded. I also ask that mobile phones be switched to silent during the meeting. A reminder as well to the public in the gallery that under Governance Rules 75.1, personal video and audio recording in the chamber of the meeting is not allowed. On behalf of Moonee Valley City Council, I respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we're meeting, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay respect to their spirits, ancestors, community members and elders past, present and emerging. We also extend this respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Item 2 on the agenda is apologies and leave of absence, and Councillor Nation is currently absent. Item 3 is confirmation of minutes, and councillors, can I please have a mover and seconder that the minutes from the council meeting held on Tuesday the 14th of March 2023 be confirmed. Moved Councillor Sypek, seconded Councillor Byrne. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Item 4 is declarations of conflict of interest. Do any councillors have a conflict of interest on anything in the agenda this evening? No. On to item 5, presentations. Councillors, do we have any presentations tonight? Councillor Isa.
Mayor, I'd like to just acknowledge that Friday the 31st of March is International Transgender Day of Visibility. Transgender Day of Visibility is an annual international celebration of trans pride and awareness, recognising trans and gender diverse experiences and achievements. The day was started by activist Rachel Crandell in 2009 as a reaction to the lack of recognition of trans people, noting that the only well-known gender diversity centred day was the Trans Day of Remembrance, a day of mourning. Transgender Day of Visibility was created as a day to acknowledge and celebrate living members of the transgender community, whilst also raising awareness of the work that still needs to be done in order to eliminate discrimination and other barriers to inclusion within all aspects of society. The International Transgender Day of Visibility provides Moonee Valley with an opportunity to educate our community and staff regarding our ongoing support to the inclusion of trans and gender diverse people through the facilitation of the Moonee Valley Pride LGBTQIA+ reference group, who are currently co-designing our Roadmap to Pride, which proposes to outline a multi-year approach to deliver initiatives to support inclusion for LGBTIQA+ community members and staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Isa. Do any other councillors have any presentations? If not, I have one. And Wednesday last week, Australia celebrated Harmony Day. Some councillors around the chamber are wearing orange, and that is celebrated elsewhere in the world as International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. It marks the anniversary of the Sharpeville massacre in South Africa, where 69 people were killed whilst peacefully protesting apartheid. We've got a diverse population here in Moonee Valley, and I'd like to recognise all members of the community who have had a fight against racial discrimination. To those members of the community who are lucky enough to have never faced racial discrimination, together we can work towards eliminating it once and for all. Any other presentations? If not, we move on to item 6, petitions and joint letters. Councillors, do we have any petitions or joint letters? Councillor Sypek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would you like me to read it out?
Yes, if you'd like to present.
Thank you. Council received a petition with signatures from 59 Moonee Valley residents requesting to replace existing trees on the nature strip of Nolan Street, Niddrie, with a deciduous tree species that is less invasive and that enhances the overall street appeal. Issued with the current trees included, there are different varieties have caused damage to council infrastructure and private homes and have dropped large branches on cars and footpaths, which are a risk to our community.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. In accordance with Governance Rule 62.4, I refer the letter to the CEO for consideration. Councillors, do we have any other petitions or joint letters? If not, we move on to item 7, public question time, and we've received 5 questions this evening. Question 1 and 2 are from Peter Robinson, who is not joining us this evening. So on behalf of Peter and in his words, can the council put on record which councillors pay rates to the MVCC? And I refer to our CEO, Helen Swee, to respond.
Thank you, Peter. Through the Mayor, due to privacy reasons, Council cannot disclose which councillors pay rates to Council. However, I can confirm that no councillors has received a preferential treatment if they are required to pay rates to Moonee Valley City Council as a property owner. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. And the second question from Peter in his words are, can we instruct councillors to provide reference numbers or similar to ratepayers/residents when they receive any form of correspondence? The current use of text messages, email, phone calls, verbal communication is very unreliable and inefficient. And I refer to CEO Helen Swee to respond.
Thank you, Peter. Through the Mayor, each councillor has their own preference of how to communicate effectively with the constituents. As part of the councillor liaison process, councillors are provided with a reference number when they raise an inquiry on behalf of a constituent with officers. Councillor may share this reference number with the constituent if they so choose, to allow them to follow up directly with council officers. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. And questions 3 and 4 are from Nina Franceschi, who is not joining us this evening. So on behalf of Nina and in her words, currently there is a moratorium suspending enforcement on sports clubs displaying any signage. What is the process for challenging the current moratorium? Refer to the CEO to respond.
Thank you, Nina. Through the Mayor, the most appropriate way for the moratorium to be set aside is through a further resolution by Council. The moratorium is intended to provide the appropriate time to assess the community response to and effectiveness of the community standards of signage in sporting reserves across a full year of sporting activity, and to form a component of a potential planning scheme amendment. To challenge the current moratorium, the questionnaire could obtain their own legal advice. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Nina's second question in her words are, to date, there have been 3 moratoriums issued. Is there a maximum number of moratoriums for suspending enforcement on sports clubs displaying signage? CEO to respond.
Thank you, Nina. Through the Mayor, no. The moratorium is a position of Council with no limitation on the number of moratoriums that can be resolved. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. The 5th question is from Ian Woods, who is also not joining us this evening. So on behalf of Ian and in his own words, it is inconceivable that the Premier of Victoria or a state parliamentarian holding a ministerial portfolio could lodge an expression of interest, EOI, in tendering for a state government project. For example, a tender for supplying lighting for a toll road. Please confirm that at least the same standard applies to Moonee Valley City Council projects, and if not, why not? And I refer to the CEO to respond.
Thank you, Ian. Through the Mayor, it is not appropriate for Council to comment on the state government procurement process or the relevant legal framework. Council is governed by the Local Government Act 2020 and is also required to comply with Equal Opportunity Act 2010 and Charter of Human Rights and Responsibilities Act 2006. Council cannot exclude any eligible person or business from participating in a EOI. I can confirm with full confidence that Council's EOI and tender processes follow high property standards and are compliant with the relevant legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO, and that's the end of questions for this week. Item 8 is reports from delegates. Councillors, are there any reports back from delegates? If not, we move on to section 9, reports. And item 9.1 is 691 Mount Alexander Road, Moonee Ponds, parentheses lot 1 on TP 539375L. construct of a multi-storey building and reduction in car parking requirements, and alterations to access in road zone category 1, section 72 amendment. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Bedio.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Hodgson. Councillor Bedio, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. The application before us for 691 Mount Alexander Road, Moonee Ponds, is a Section 72 amendment to a planning permit issued under ward delegation on the 13th of May 2021. The application seeks to reduce the overall height of the pre-approved development from 5 stories to 4 stories, removal of the rear portion of the building, reduction in office area from 1,899 square metres to 1,247 square metres, reduce the number of car spaces provided from 17 spaces to 6 spaces, deletion of a roof terrace, and alterations to the floor plans and elevations based on the above changes. The overall amended height of the development is at 16.07 metres and is compliant with the preferred maximum height of 27 metres under the Schedule 1 Activity Centre zone. I did initially have some concerns that this change or this amendment to this permit may result in an underdevelopment of the site, given the significant development that is permitted on the corner just to the south at 687 Mount Alexander Road and 4 Homer Street. However, based on the assessment from officers, I'm satisfied that this amendment is suitable and I'm happy to support.
Thanks, Councillor Bedio. Councillor Hodgson.
Thanks, Mayor. So this is the building that is next to the Queen's Park Apartments on Mount Alexander Road, and as Councillor Bedio has mentioned, just a couple of doors down from quite a large development on that is, if people are driving past, under construction there on the corner of Homer Street. The amendment, as Councillor Bedio's mentioned, reduces the height by taking off a level in the rooftop terrace. It reduces the number of car parks available, but in a way that is still compliant with our planning scheme for the area, which actually puts a maximum number of car parks that they can provide, not a minimum. And so that coupled with the reduction in floor space is what is being applied for here. Because the application is reducing the visual scale and is still compliant with everything, including happily our floor area ratios that apply over the area now, I'm happy to support the officer's recommendation. We did have this conversation about whether the reduction in floor space for officers is ideal, and I think from my perspective it's still not. We do want to encourage office space in our key activity centre, but you know, this is what the applicant has put to us and it is compliant with all of our policies, so happy to support that recommendation. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Hodgson. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? If not, I will put that to the vote. All those in favour? And that is carried unanimously. Item 9.2 on the agenda is the draft sports infrastructure policy. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. I have an alternative motion, please.
Yep.
One, to defer this report to allow for a further strategic briefing to occur, which will allow councillors to have further input into the drafting of the policy.
Thank you, Councillor Sharp. Is there a seconder? Councillor Sypek. Councillor Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this policy is incredibly detailed and very important, and I would personally like to see another briefing whereby all councillors can be involved in regards to the details of the draft policy before it goes out for consultation. I think it's going to be really important, and hence my request to defer this report until that is able to be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sharp. Councillor Sypek, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. This is probably one of our most important policies that we have, the infrastructure to sports, and we need to get this right. And if it means to delay it by a week or two to make sure that we're all 100% and crystal clear on it, I think that's a good delay reasoning to defer this, because once again, it's a very, very important document, and I think we just all need to be 100% sure about what we're going to be voting on here.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. Would any other councillor like to speak to this motion? Councillor Hodgson.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, I note that the officer's recommendation was to put this out with consultation, but I'm in agreement with Councillors Sharp and Sypek that when we put a policy out for consultation, we want it to be something that councillors have had a lot of time to think about and input into, and that we consider it to be in line with our intention to be equitable and to be consistent with how we apply policies. So for that reason, I think, further consideration is needed, then a deferral is warranted in this situation. So happy to support. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Hodgson. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Councillor Isa.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to support a deferral in this case. This is really quite a new and quite complex policy, and I just want to commend, I guess, the officers and councillors who've already put so much thought into this. There's a lot of detail, a lot of new thinking, and quite happy to spend some time to get it right. One of the issues that's also been raised by email with us in the last couple of days, and is something that we can perhaps talk about over the next couple of weeks, is the issue of solar panels on buildings and how that fits into our Sustainable Buildings Facilities guideline, pardon me, with respect to existing buildings having solar panels installed. So I look forward to talking about that as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Isa. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Councillor Byrne.
Thanks, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Sharp, for moving this motion. I think it's just another policy that is perfectly reasonable to defer. For those watching online, there's no issues with deferring policies. It happens quite regularly in this chamber. It gives councillors a little bit of extra time. So it definitely does not mean we don't want a sports infrastructure policy. It does not mean that at all. It just means we're going to do a bit of further work on it so we can all be satisfied with the outcome. So yes, another deferral in this chamber, which is completely fine.
Thank you, Councillor Byrne. Would any other councillor like to speak? If not, I will put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. 9.3 on the agenda is the endorsement of the draft community grants policy for community consultation. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Isa.
Look, really happy to put this particular policy out for consultation.
No,
sorry.
Councillor Isa, what do you move?
Oh, I moved the officer's recommendation, sorry.
Thank you.
I'm just a step ahead of myself.
No worries. Excited for it. And a seconder? Councillor Hodgson. Councillor Isa, please continue.
It's a rarity for me to completely forget to move a motion, but, I am excited to move this motion. Our community grants are one of the things that we all really love awarding to our thousands of volunteers and businesses and people who work so hard across the municipality. We have spent some time over the past couple of years revisiting elements of the grants process, both the process and the content. And this this policy that's going out for consultation incorporates some of those new elements. Really looking forward to hearing what people might think of it, particularly businesses. I was at the Flemington Traders Association meeting today, and traders were really interested to get a chance to look at the business grants that will be on offer and have already been on offer, but how they're positioned in this grants policy, and to comment on that. There are a number of different types of grants, and it can be quite confusing for people. So I am hoping that groups that are interested in applying for grants find it easy to understand the difference between those responsive grants, the smaller grants that are available on a monthly basis, the larger grants that are available twice a year, and our next round will be opening up provided that this all goes through, we'll be opening up soon, and as part of that grant, the new or the draft policy will be in a pilot phase through that particular round. And then there are the even larger still partnership grants that are available every 2 years. I have had feedback from residents that the grants process, that the grants officers work really, really hard with applicants to make sure that applications meet the eligibility and have all the information. And just so I guess a shout out to the staff who work in the grants department and work so hard with the applicants to help them through this process. So if people are regular grant applicants or are interested in applying for grants, really encourage you to have a look at the policy, see whether we've missed anything and give us some feedback and also apply for the next round of grants. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Isa. Councillor Hodgson, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Mayor. Look, I'll just add, as Councillor Isa's already highlighted, the grants program has undergone quite a lot of work in the recent years, and in particular, you know, our responsive grants were a great initiative to make sure that we are able to be as agile as a large government organisation can be, and trust me, I know that we are not always very agile, but I think this is a really great piece of work from the officers to make sure that our community grants are responsive not only to the needs of the community but to councillors' wishes to remain, you know, involved and have input because of our relationship with the community. So through being able to set annual funding priorities in the policy, which is another one of the changes, that is really creating within one of our policies some agility that we love to see, and so really pleased to put this out to consultation. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hodgson. Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Sypek.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is quite a good scheme that we've got here at Moonee Valley, and it's always a work in progress. We always sort of tinker with it a little bit because things change, environments change, structures change, and support and help changes as well. But what I always get a laugh when I read through these grants is when we have the usual suspects that apply for this, and they're like, let's say from Claremont in Western Australia, they apply for a grant at Moonee Valley, and there's absolutely no relevance except that they have an aunt twice removed from their future in-laws or something like that. Like I said, I find it funny reading these things, but this is solely for communities, for groups, for people, for businesses, for projects within Moonee Valley. Not outside of Moonee Valley, within Moonee Valley. And I just want to make sure that we keep doing this and keep supporting our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Councillor Bedio.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, I just wanted to commend officers on their work on this policy. I think it's a really great outcome. When the recommendation came to improve probity processes, to have councillors removed from the overall assessment of grants, which obviously as a council we're very supportive of improving our processes. It did come up across council that a priority for us was how we can maintain a seat at the table and how we can support the strategy and how these grants are rolled out. And I think that was really identified through the COVID era when our grants policy turned towards supporting businesses who were impacted in COVID. So I think it is really important that we have an agile and adaptive grants policy that allows us to support local community groups and businesses based on the economic climate or the climate that we're at that point in time. So I really commend officers for putting this draft policy together, and I'm looking forward to seeing the community feedback when that comes back to us.
Thank you, Councillor Bedio. Would any other councillor like to speak? If not, I will put that to the vote. All those in favour? And that is carried unanimously. Item 9.4 on reports is the Moonee Ponds Creek naturalisation scope and cost considerations. Councillors, do I have a motion. Councillor Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. I have an alternative motion
Yes, what is your motion?
to defer this report to the next council meeting.
Thank
Please.
you. I'll just let governance capture that. Councillor Sharp, can I just confirm it's the words behind you that you've moved?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Sypek. Councillor Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. I am not confident that the recommendation in this report is sound and will achieve what we need to achieve tonight based on discussions prior to this meeting. Hence my request to defer. I don't think it will, deferring the report isn't going to cause any issues, I do not believe. But we really need, as councillors, to be confident in information provided in order to make a decision. And I'm not in a position to support anything other than deferral because I don't feel confident. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sharp. Councillor Sypek, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is probably, in my eyes, the second most important project that Moonee Valley. In my eyes, this is probably the second most important project that Moonee Valley ever have. Without being biased, East Kill Leisure Centre was a priority for me, but this one here is definitely my second priority. This is such a great project, absolutely fantastic project. And once again, I'm also just a little bit skewered here where I've read it and I just, look, I think everything's there, but I think it just hasn't been sort of paraphrased properly. And I would also just like to just get this right. You know, we don't want to go half-cocked on this. We don't want to, you know, just do half a job and then come back and, oh, we've got to do this and we've got to do that. Let's do this properly. This is a very, very important project for Moonee Valley. Very important. And let's get it right. So, once again, I think a 2-week delay is not going to change the world. I think, if anything, it'll make this project better.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. Would any other councillor like to speak on this motion? Councillor Adams.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm not going to support the deferral. I have read through the report pretty thoroughly. I think the officers have done a good job sort of detailing the scope of the works and what's been negotiated. I know there's a lot of work that's been done behind the scenes. So I won't support the deferral and I'll flag an alternative, please.
Foreshadow?
Foreshadow an alternative. Thank you.
Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Bedio.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm happy to support a deferral on this matter. I must say I am very supportive of this project. I think it's a fantastic project and I'd love to see the whole creek be naturalised. Probably won't be for a long time yet, but it's definitely a goal to aim for. I do, however, have some additional questions that I want to seek from officers. Principally, I want to see the current design. I also don't really know what a Kanga track is, and I think having some imagery or some designs would help me in working that out. It is quite a large cost request, and so I would like some more information on this, so I'd be happy to support a deferral.
Thank you, Councillor Bedio. Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Hodgson.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, I'm also not in support of a deferral of this one. I know that, you know, we recently had our Q2 Capital Works program come to us, and there are challenges in the industry at the moment about completing and, you know, following through on tenders. I wouldn't want to delay this project and cause any issues in that regard. So I think in terms of being able to deliver what is already committed within the current financial year budget, I am supportive of moving this forward. I don't think it's rushing. I feel adequately prepared to make a decision tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hodgson. Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Isa.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, I do think that, deferrals need to be moved with some caution, and particularly where we have projects in which there are multiple parties and third parties, including in this case Melbourne Water and Marybeck Council. We do need to be really sure that there's sufficient reason or a really good reason to keep people waiting on our decision. And I do think in this case that we do have all of the information before us and are in a position to make a decision so that we can give certainty to the partners with whom we've been working with for quite some time on this project, and with whom we celebrated a couple of months ago, I think almost exactly 2 months ago, the commencement of this project. And I think given the work of all of the multiple parties involved in this project, it really is incumbent on us to take the information that we've got, which I think is quite comprehensive, and make sure that we can meet our obligations in this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Isa. Councillor Byrne, you're the only councillor I've got who hasn't spoken. Would you like to speak?
Wasn't going to, but if I'm the only one, why not? I feel like I probably could have just recorded what I said about 10 minutes ago on deferrals and played it again. But I actually think that in terms of what Councillor Isa said, in terms of having other partners working on the project is a reason why we should have a decision. Well, I disagree with that. I think having other partners on the project and it being such a big project actually means that we should spend more time in ensuring we get it right. I don't think that this one is particularly time dependent, considering the next fortnight is basically Easter anyway. I can't imagine a Kanga track being built in that, quick amount of time, or it being, super duper time dependent like that. So I can imagine that if this deferral doesn't get up, it might be a little bit of a schmozzle and there might be an adjournment in the next bit. Who knows? I don't want to preempt anything. But I feel like if there is flagging from a ward councillor and other councillors that there is some questions that still need to be answered, then I'm happy to support the deferral in this case. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Byrne. As there has been dissent, I'll ask Councillor Sharp whether she wants a right of reply.
Thank you, Mayor. Firstly, this project isn't anticipated to finish until at least this time next year. So I don't think we'd be holding the process up at all by 2 weeks if this was deferred. Secondly, the works regarding the shared path and the potential changes to the track are all on our side of the creek. So I'm not sure that Marybeck would really have too much of a worry, considering it's on our side. If you want to, councillors have been talking about the merits of this project. The deferral is nothing untoward the merits of the project. It is a great project, but I don't know where this tree is exactly. There's a picture that we've been given of where the tree is, but none of us know where the tree is. We asked about more details last week and the details weren't provided to us until not long ago. So it's very hard for me to make a decision when I don't believe that we really do have all the answers provided to us. Aside from that, there was mentioned that, and it is in the report, about a fixed fee going forward. There's nothing in the recommendation to suggest that, and that was really my major concern, and I said it earlier, that I'm concerned about the recommendation. I'm not confident in the recommendation. And as councillors, the decision makers around the table, I think we all need to be confident about any information that's provided. there was a number of questions asked last week when we were briefed on this matter. At the end of the day, it's potentially a 2-week delay, and I don't think it will be really affecting anybody, but I would really like to understand why at this...
Councillor Sharp, your time has expired. If you want to finish your sentence.
30 seconds, yeah.
Yep.
Why at this stage we're getting asked to spend more money when, for me, I was of the understanding that this was pretty much... The community had input into the design, the designs were done, and I fear... Well, I just want more information. I'm not even going to go on to the merits of it because I don't think this is a... I don't need to do that right now, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sharp. I'll put that deferral motion to the vote. All those in favour? That is Councillor Bedio, Councillor Byrne, Councillor Sharp, Councillor Sypek. All those against? Councillor Adams, Councillor Hodgson, Councillor Isa, Councillor Tyson. On the casting vote of the Mayor, I declare...
Sorry, I'm online, sorry.
Welcome.
Online, you did my vote, sorry.
Welcome, Councillor Nation. I'll just confer with governance. Councillor Nation, I might recast that vote. Can you confirm when you joined the meeting?
Yes, when you said I call for a vote.
Yep, thank you. Any conflicts to declare?
Yes, 12-2, thank you, Mayor, for reasons previously disclosed, noting it's confidential item.
Thank you, Councillor Nation. I will put that once more to the vote. All those in favour of the deferral motion? That is Councillor Bedio, Byrne, Sharp, Sypek. Councillor Nation?
Yes.
I can see you there, thank you. All those against? Councillor Adams, Hodgson, Isa, Tyson. I declare that deferral carried. We now move on to item 10, notices of motion, and we have one listed on tonight's agenda. 10.1, I call on Councillor Sypek to present his notice of motion titled Notice of Motion number 2023/17, Advocacy for Rates Concession for Pensioners.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That to take note that at the council meeting on the 28th of March 2023, it is my intention to move the council resolve to write to the Premier of Victoria and the Minister for Local Government to request the state government to increase the annual pension rebate amount to equate to 50% of inner metro council average annual rate rate amount and note. A, at the time the municipal rates concession for pension rebates was introduced almost 40 years ago in 1983, the concession was to provide a 50% deduction on council rates up to a yearly maximum of amount of $135. Let me clarify, that was 50% of the rates back in those days. B, the 2022-2023 concession amount is currently only $253.20 and equates to only 13% deduction on the City of Moonee Valley residents' annual average council rate of an amount of $1,928. Provide a copy of this letter to the Municipal Associations of Victoria and the 78 other local councils in Moonee Valley.
Can I clarify that last word, Councillor Sypek?
Victoria.
Victoria, thank you. And governance under 1B in the second sentence, on the second line, Councillor Sypek, can you confirm whether that's residence or residential?
Which one was that?
On 1B.
1B?
On the second line.
Residential,
Residential.
annual average council rate amount of 1,928.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Hodgson. Councillor Sypek, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. Mr Mayor, this has been a bug of mine ever since I've been on council. 1983 consecutive state governments have just constantly ignored the ratepayers of Moonee Valley, the pensioners, the ones who have paid their rates all their lives. They've paid every bit of tax. They've paid everything. And this was introduced to help them. And especially in today's cost of living crisis, with the energy crisis coming up, this needs to be fixed. This needs to be brought back to 50%. And where I said to write to all the other councils, I'm expecting you to write to all the other councillors, because I want to create a groundswell. I want to create a movement, just like we did when funding to the libraries was cut a few years back, and every council got behind this. Every council should get behind this, and we should be united as one force and make sure that the pensioners, not only of Moonee Valley, but the pensioners of Victoria, get looked after and get their due deserves of the 50% where they were promised back in 1983.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. Councillor Hodgson, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Sypek, for raising this and for your obvious passion for the issue. I think it's a really important one, with cost of living rising. To look out for our pensioners is something that I strongly support. So I'm very happy to see this come through the chambers, and thank you for your initiation of it.
Thank you, Councillor Hodgson. Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Isa.
Just to reiterate the words of Councillor Hodgson, thanks Councillor Sypek for bringing this to the chamber, and look forward to the response we receive. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Isa. Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Sharp.
Well done, Councillor Sypek. Let's see how this goes.
Thank you, Councillor Sharp. Any other councillor? If not, I will put that to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. We now move on to item 11, urgent business. Councillors, do we have any urgent business? No. We now move on to item 12, confidential reports, and we have 3 listed this evening. Item 12.1 is 881 Mount Alexander Road, Essendon. Construction of a multi-storey building, use of land for dwellings, a reduction in car parking requirements, and alteration of access to a road in Transport Zone 2. Item 12.1 is considered confidential under the terms of Section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020, as it contains information relating to H, confidential meeting information, being the records of meetings closed to the public under Section 66(2)(a), because the item is a VCAT compulsory conference matter. Item 12.2 is highball feasibility and options, and item 12.2 is considered confidential under the terms of Section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020, as it contains information relating to A, council business information, being information that would prejudice the council's position in commercial negotiations if prematurely released, as it contains confidential contractual information. And item 12.3 is rates-related matters, which is considered confidential under the terms of Section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020, as it contains information relating to E, legal privileged information, being information to which legal professional privilege or client legal privilege applies, as it includes legal advice on a confidential matter. That all said, councillors, I need a mover and seconder that council resolves to close the meeting to the public pursuant to Section 66(2) of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider the aforementioned items. Do I have a mover? Councillor Sypek. And a seconder? Councillor Hodgson. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That is Councillor Adams, Hodgson, Isa, Sharp, Sypek, Nation, and those against, Councillors Bedio and Byrne. and apologies, I voted for the motion. I declare that carried, and we say goodnight to those watching the meeting via live stream and from the chamber. Thanks for your interest in tonight's meeting, and have a great night. Thanks.